Hey guys, Ben here, welcome back to another video on Superman. Today we're going to be talking about a new Superman TV show that has just moved networks. So this is a big deal for DC and all the rest of the projects that are currently being developed. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay guys, so as you know, recently there was two shows that moved network. The first one being Dead Boy Detectives, which is a show that is produced by Greg Berlanti, one of the architects of the Arrowverse, and that show has been moved to Netflix. As I said in a previous video on that show moving to Netflix, the move there makes sense considering Dead Boy Detectives is from the Sandman comics and Sandman is a TV show currently over at Netflix, so it makes financial sense for Netflix if they want to eventually link up the two TV shows. And the other show that has moved networks is Batman Caped Crusader, which is the first animated show to move, along with this new Superman show. And so this Superman show was announced a while ago. It was announced back in May 2021. It's currently 2023 March, so it's been a long time since it was announced. And so the title of the show is My Adventures with Superman, and this show was originally intended to come out on HBO Max along with Cartoon Network, and so it got a 2-season order initially with HBO Max and Cartoon Network, who jointly announced the show, which follows the Man of Steel along with Lois Lane as young reporters in their 20s, as well as their best friend Jimmy Olsen, who is going to be in the show too. And so as they begin to discover who they are and everything that they can accomplish together as an investigative news team. The serialized coming of age story sees Superman build up his secret identity and embrace his role as the hero of Metropolis and perhaps the world, while Lois, now a star journalist, takes aspiring photographer Jimmy under her wing. All the while, Clark and Lois are falling in love, sharing adventures and taking down bad guys. And so this was the synopsis of the show when they initially announced it back in 2021. And so with the move, it's presumed that the show is going to keep its original format, and I presume there's going to be 2 seasons to come if they've taken it on. And the network that has officially taken it on is Adult Swim. Now, this is the first time that Adult Swim has taken on, I think, any DC project. I might be mistaken. Obviously, they've dabbled with DC characters with Robot Chicken before, if you guys have seen that show. But this is a big deal because this is another TV show that was being developed by HBO Max that has moved to another network. So now that's 3 networks. That is Netflix, a streaming service, Amazon Prime Video, another streaming service, and now a network television channel being Adult Swim. So I'm not completely surprised by the fact that a show like this has been announced to be moving, because they are clearly reorganizing everything at HBO Max and they don't want to keep anything that they don't have to. And we know that they are selling these shows in order to gain profits by selling to competitors who run streaming services and networks, because it's kind of like a win-win. Yes, they don't get to keep it on their original in-house streaming service, but they get to get the proceeds of, you know, these other networks and streaming services using their characters. So My Adventures with Superman is just another casualty of what's going on at Warner Brothers right now. And so it will apparently stream on HBO Max at some point, according to Superhero Hype. I'll leave the link in the description below to the article. And so I don't know at what point is it going to come onto HBO Max, but for now it's going to be in the late night primetime hours on Adult Swim. So as I've said many times in videos similar to this, because I've covered both Batman Caped Crusader and also Dead Boy Detectives moving, this is another project, the third project that has moved. And so that is definitely going to pave way to more projects moving, and you're going to see more networks and streaming services having DC shows there. Yes, this is an animated show like Batman Caped Crusader, but it's still a big deal. It's still a DC property. It's still about one of their main characters, that being Superman in this case, and you're going to have Lois and Jimmy Olsen too. Obviously right now we do have another Superman show, that being Superman Lois on the CW. We don't know how long that is going to last. Obviously us fans of Superman Lois want it to continue, but the state of the CW, like the state of HBO Max and Warner Brothers, which they are heavily linked to, is very much so up in the air because of their new owners that want to focus on profits rather than the actual original programming. And so it looks like Superman and Lois could be on the chopping block some point soon. And so people are asking, will Superman and Lois follow suit with these other shows? Well, it's becoming more and more likely that if a project is shelved or sidelined or maybe scrapped, but not scrapped in the way that they've scrapped Batgirl, which was literally wiping all the hard drives which had the film on it, it's becoming more and more likely that Warner Brothers and HBO Max's competitors could be taking on shows that have DC characters in them. So I think this is a good sign for those of you hoping for shows and films to continue to expand, but because of the limited range of what Warner Brothers is willing to spend, they are cutting back on a lot of these shows, and the new shows that they've been developing, like My Adventures with Superman or like Batman Caped Crusader, or current shows like Superman Lois or Gotham Knights. Potentially in the future you could be seeing much more of these shows, and I'm not going to be surprised, because when I saw this news I was not surprised, because we already had two. So it's a pattern that is just going to continue chugging along, and I think we're just going to see more and more moving elsewhere as HBO Max tries to clear their slate in order to focus on, you know, DC related content that is more in line with what James Gunn and Peter Safran are developing over at DC Studios, because they have this whole new idea of how to kind of handle the DCEU, but they are still okay with Elseworlds projects continuing. It's just they're not going to be involved in them. So the likes of Superman and Lois or the likes of My Adventures with Superman, they're going to be separate, and that's why they are selling them to other streaming services and networks, because I think it becomes quite clear that they are unaffiliated despite having DC characters in them. But overall, I would say this is actually a good thing for shows and films that are currently in development, because this will definitely give those people working on those shows a bit of hope in case their project gets put on the cutting block. And it's also a good sign for fans. I know a lot of people who are big Snyderverse fans want to see a continuation of his films. Nothing has been confirmed as of right now, but seeing this, just like me being a Superman Lois fan, I'm getting excited. Okay, if the CW cancels Superman Lois, there is definitely a chance for it to continue. And same thing goes for Snyderverse fans. They see this and they're like, okay, so now all these other networks and streaming services are clearly interested in DC content, which why wouldn't they be? There's definitely profits to be made. So maybe they can save the certain projects that I want to see, like the Snyderverse maybe continuing over at a different streaming service like Netflix or Amazon. But in terms of Adult Swim, I don't expect them to pick up much else. Maybe some animated shows that were in development. I would suggest that maybe the Brian Michael Bendis TV show that he was working on over at HBO Max, that could go to Adult Swim. It's another animated show based on the Legion of Superheroes. Legion of Superheroes just had a new animated film that was released. It was kind of mainly focused about Supergirl. That is available on home release, so on DVD, Blu-ray or digitally. But in terms of Brian Michael Bendis' Legion TV show, it was described as having more like adult themes, and that kind of fits with Adult Swim, because when you think of Adult Swim shows, you think Rick and Morty, think Robot Chicken, and those shows are definitely into that more kind of adult range. And I'm not sure if My Adventures with Superman is going to be at all like that. The impression I get from reading the synopsis and everything they released about this animated show about Superman and Lois is it doesn't really fit too much of Adult Swim, apart from being an animated show, which is something that they love to obviously have on their network. So if I was to make a guess about another show that could move to Adult Swim, I would say it's that Legion of Superheroes show that is currently being written and developed over at HBO Max. And I'm not sure if David Zaslav and the people in charge of HBO Max are going to be willing to have another animated show that's unaffiliated with the main DCU. So it could be just a matter of cutting costs, and, you know, selling it elsewhere might be more beneficial, because Warner Brothers will gain money from it because they're going to sell their characters, sell the rights. And so I think it's a win. Despite there being more projects out there potentially, it will be made clear that they are Elseworlds projects and not part of the greater DCU that James Gunn and Peter Safran are trying to build. In terms of casting with My Adventures of Superman, we know that Jack Quaid, who some of you guys may know, has been cast as Superman Lois. Plus also it was announced that Alice Lee will play Lois Lane in the TV show. I don't know if any of that has changed since it was originally announced back in 2021. But there was also one more logline that I wanted to read in regards to the Superman animated show. So it says, "This is the first Superman animated series in many years, and we wanted to tell our Superman story through the trio of Clark, Lois, and Jimmy, whose relationship dynamic will allow for rich, serialized, and engaging stories as we explore their lives as individuals and their journey together as friends." It's also described as a fresh take that delivers a modern, relatable Clark Kent alongside a fearless, whip-smart Lois Lane, who are navigating the small tasks of becoming both adults and trying to save the world. So that's what's been described about the project. I actually look forward to it. It's been a long time since there's been a Superman specific show. He's appeared in various projects, but this is going to be a big thing for fans of Superman the animated series, because yes, it's going to be different, but at the same time it's a new Superman show. So if you like Superman in animated form, I think you're going to be in for this, and I look forward to seeing what Adult Swim does with it, and I hope that it has that 2-season run it was promised. I don't know if that was in the negotiations that it would have to get that 2-season run or not. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, really helps out. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any daily videos. We are still uploading daily right now, so check out all the recent videos. It's up on my channel page. And so for now, click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.